Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:07. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for so much for letting us be a part of your morning routine. Happy to be here on a Tuesday morning as we sort of say goodbye to July, almost in the rearview mirror this last week, and move into the official dog days. They call it the dog days of summer. August are the dog days, Julie. Do you like the dog days?
I feel like we're there.
That's time. We got plenty to cover today. I'm excited, though. First of all, Dr. Peter McAuliffe is going to join us. New book, Vaccines, Mythology, Ideology, and Reality. Obviously, in reaction to the pandemic, Dr. McAuliffe was one of the sane voices during the pandemic. And talk about vaccines in general in light of the current new approach, I think it's fair to say, or a different, more skeptical approach to the ubiquitous use of lots of pharmaceuticals in our lives. Also at 7:35, Nick Minock, WJLA ABC 7, on a Loudoun County School Board member. He wants the school board to reverse the transgender and bathroom policies in light of the fact that they're under investigation from the Department of Education. And then finally, at 8:05, get ready. Schedule it, put an alarm on your phone, make sure you don't miss it. The great one, Mark Levin. Today is publishing day for his brand new book on power. I've read it. It's phenomenal. You got to get it. Mark Levin, 8:05. I think we have a lot to talk to Mark about, don't you, Julie?
I think we do, definitely.
I think there's plenty. How are you doing, though? You sound a little, do you have
Like
one of those,
man.
like, midsummer colds?
I just started yesterday, so I think my voice will warm up, but this first hour will be rough. Sorry.
It is a weird phenomenon when it's 100 degrees out and you get a cold. We got to stop calling it a cold. It's a virus. It has nothing to do with the temperature.
Yeah.
Why do we call it a cold?
Well, I don't really care. I'm just miserable, and I want you to be very nice to me today. Don't care. Don't care about anything this morning.
I am always nice to you.
Well, okay.
But you just annoy me sometimes. I have no choice but to retaliate in kind.
Don't make me laugh. I'll cough.
Are you sure it's not allergies, though? Is it like a full
I have no allergies. You know, two things about me. I have no allergies, and I have no cavities. Interesting.
Wow. It is fascinating. Well,
invite me to the dinner parties. I am tons of fun.
I gotta be honest. We got another
4
3
hours
hours
to
and
go.
50 minutes to fill, and I'm kind of stumped now.
I think it's kind of cool. I have no allergies and no
We
cavities.
were going to pretty much talk about pollen and tooth decay all morning.
No, but honestly, do you know very many people who don't have cavities? I think it's very cool.
I don't. I only have. I'm trying to. I think I have had 2 cavities in my whole life. But that's not as good as no cavities. Is it because you really focus on your oral hygiene and you're
I am sort of. I brush all the
big
time.
brusher?
I do. I have very good oral hygiene, but I think I just probably genetically have good teeth.
Yeah. All right.
There you go. All right. We've now bored the audience. People are shutting off their radios.
Last night, as we were going to sleep, we saw a bit of a horrific scene unfold in Midtown Manhattan. Now, of course, we've got a lot of analysis to give you on the scene where a shooter went into a Midtown building and started opening fire and killing many people, including a police officer. And there's a lot of angles to take on this, including the fact that they're in the middle of a mayoral race, and one of the mayoral candidates is in Uganda celebrating his wedding in a heavily armed and defended compound.
Yeah, how nice.
Which, again, I thought it was a very strange idea for him to take time off in the middle of the campaign.
Yeah.
Just to pretty much hide in a different continent. We have that aspect. Of course, we have the media coverage. We've got calls for gun control. We have all of this stuff. And the attempts to inject non-existent racial politics into the conversation. All of that we will address, of course. I, of course, hate instinctively to go into politics when you've got, a dead cop and children who are now, without a father, coming home after a dangerous day, policing the streets of New York. And I think it's important to sort of focus on the reality and the facts of this crime first before, of course, it immediately has to be politicized. That's why we're better at doing this on talk radio than the idiots on cable news who feel instinctively the exact opposite approach is needed. Here are the facts that we know of. The shooting started around 6:30 in the evening, 345 Park Avenue. It's a business district as well. I mean, everything in New York has residents as well, but it's a heavily trafficked part of the town. Very, in terms of the businesses, they're very financially well-off businesses. In fact, the building that this murderer went into is the headquarters for Blackstone Investments, which has gained quite a reputation over the years. But it's also the headquarters of the NFL. And it seemed going in that it seemed quite deliberate that this building was chosen. And as I was trying to fall asleep last night, I was hoping to get some facts that supported who the target was. And I believed it was one of those two. And it does turn out that the murderer, his name is Didarul Islam, had left a note. And that note did reference the National Football League, because some of the things that we were learning about this person. Oh, God, I feel horrible. The name that I just gave you, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. The name I just gave you is the police officer that he murdered. I am so sorry. The murderer's name is Shane Tamura.
Okay.
27 years old. And the one thing that we knew about this guy last night was that he was a high school football player. In fact, there's photos and video of him being interviewed, I guess, as a star football player at the time. We're still piecing together more details of that, but it appears as though, based on the note that he left, that he was disgruntled about the NFL. The guy was
interesting.
Nuts. He was seen on surveillance footage getting out of a double-parked black BMW between 51st and 52nd Street, and he had an M4 rifle. By the way, before we get into all of the various angles and politicization of this murder, yes, we have politicians already calling for gun control in New York.
Of course.
Let me preempt it by telling you that this gun is already controlled in New York.
That's right.
The moment he stepped outside of his car with this rifle, he violated the law. That he broke the law. But as we say often, if you're willing to break the law against murder, you're probably willing to break the law against owning a gun to commit
That's
that
right.
murder.
In
fact, he was willing to break the law against double parking, too. You know,
Yep.
It's a funny thing about criminals. They break the law.
Yeah.
And I wish Democrats were just honest. What they really want is to just confiscate all guns.
Well, and you're going to see all the Democrats come out for this crime, and these are the same Democrats who were silent about the knife crime that we saw at that Walmart. They won't mention. They won't talk about that.
That was foiled by a person carrying a gun.
A good guy with
a
gun.
Marine.
Right.
Yeah. He walked into the skyscraper in question, turned in the lobby, and shot the police officer dead. He then gunned down a woman cowering behind a pillar in the lobby, and he sprayed more bullets as he walked to the elevator bank. He shot dead a security guard crouching at his desk. There was another man reported being shot and injured in the lobby in critical condition, but he is stable now. The gunman allowed a woman to walk out of the elevators unharmed before heading up to the 33rd floor. This is why it was very deliberate. It was very deliberate and very targeted. The building owner, Rudin Properties offices are located up there. He began to walk through the floor, firing as he walked. One man was shot and killed on that floor. He then went down the hallway, and he shot himself in the chest. It's unclear how long it lasted, according to most observations, but around 7:50 in the evening, the scene had been contained and the lone shooter had been neutralized, according to reports at that time. So that's sort of a bullet point rundown of what happened. In total, 5 people were killed, including that cop. We will give you more that we know of about this story, but then also, sadly, the mishandling of this by electronic media, most particularly CNN, and the immediate political ramifications, not just the calls for gun control, but also how this might affect the mayor's race that they're in the middle of in New York. That's coming up in a moment. First, though, it's 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Shane Tamura, 27 years old, from Las Vegas. He drove cross-country hours before the rampage. He didn't show up for work. He was a security guard in Las Vegas, and he had a documented mental health history. Yet at the same time, the state of Nevada saw fit to provide him with a concealed carry permit. So that needs to be investigated, certainly, because somebody with a mental health history probably should get some extra scrutiny. He was a security guard at a Vegas casino. The car he was driving had Nevada plates. And again, he knew exactly where he was going. He walked, there's security footage of him walking across the plaza in front of the building with his firearm in hand.
Yep.
That photograph was available pretty early on during the coverage of the story. And it was clear and obvious, not to, racially profile people, but we have eyes, and we can see, based on the picture, that he was either African American, or some people at the time were also saying he could be Middle Eastern.
Right.
The photograph was there. We all saw it. And yet when CNN was doing what CNN always does, which is just bring on as many people as possible to just talk and fill time because they don't have any news or information on the story, they get people on there to just start rambling and rambling and rambling. And, well, this is what happened on the air during their coverage.
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache.
I gotta get this. We saw the picture.
I mean, I'm looking at the picture right now.
And the chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst for CNN, as we're all looking at the picture at the time, goes on TV.
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white.
I don't know where to begin with these people, Julie.
These people are despicable. They absolutely are.
I can't decide whether it's just stupidity or whether it's just this knee-jerk reflex reaction that anything bad happening in this country is probably a white person.
Well, and it's almost like getting the bona fides out there saying, like, okay, this is why we're covering it.
Yes.
Because this is white rage, right? This is probably, I bet he never even looked at the picture. I think, or maybe I don't understand how you could have seen that. That's why I'm saying he probably didn't even look at the picture. He's just spouting off.
This myth that has been manipulated by a politicized FBI that any of the violence in this country is most commonly connected to, white rage, conservative militia groups or something, which is a fake talking point from the 90s that they continue. It is not.
It's also, it is important to cover all crime. It is not racist. For instance, we saw a complete media blackout on what happened in Cincinnati. Or was it Cleveland? Cleveland, maybe.
No, it was Cincinnati. You're right.
This attack, this gang up on this white couple, and there was a total media thank God for X, because of X, people covered it.
Well, and you mentioned the Traverse City story, which, by the way, it's funny, we didn't mention it at the time of the story because we don't focus on race, but it turns out that Marine who saved the day and pulled the gun on the knife-wielding maniac was black.
Right.
So, I mean, that's... Anyway, that's CNN. And I don't think they ever came back on the air and said, oh, we got it wrong. Here, we've got this now. Because, being CNN means never having to say you're sorry.
Right.
Meanwhile, Zoran Kwame Mamdani is famously out of the country for 10 days in Uganda. The man who wants to disarm New Yorkers and defund the police is celebrating his wedding for 10 days behind a heavily armed security fortress on his parents' multi-million-dollar compound because, eat the rich or something.
Right. With cameras and armed security and huge walls and gates. Yeah. Nice to be rich.
He, as the New York Post put it, Mamdani addresses Midtown mass shooting from secure Uganda compound.
So absurd.
He said, I'm heartbroken to learn of the horrific shooting in Midtown, and I'm holding the victims, their families, and the NYPD officer in critical condition in my thoughts. Grateful for all of our first responders on the ground. By the time he posted that, one of the victims was, in fact, a New York Police Department officer. We knew that. When he posted it, we knew that, but he did not mention the dead cop. This, of course, again, I want to remind you, is a man who wants to defund the police and send in social workers at the time of a violent confrontation in New York.
Really?
Meanwhile, Eric Adams is there. He was Johnny on the spot and covered the issue as the active mayor. And Richie Torres, a Democrat, went on CNN. Was it CNN? Yeah, again, CNN. An hour and a half after the shooting and demanded that we get weapons of war off the streets of New York. Brother. Of course, this is not a weapon of war. It is not designed. This version of this weapon is actually for commercial civilian use, and it's already banned in New York. So you're up to speed now.
Really quickly, and Larry, you've done incredible laying this out, but just very quickly, the shooter did go up to an upper floor and kill himself, so he is dead. And I don't know if we mentioned that, but I just want to be clear.
I did.
He's not
I said he turned the gun on himself, shot himself in the chest after he killed those people. Thank you, though. It's 5:24.
Coming up, we'll give you the latest on the Russian collusion hoax and who's in trouble. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. It's 5:36. Let's call it 5:37. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to O'Connor and Company. Oh, there it is. I was waiting for my music. You know, Jeff, Professor, it's 5:30. We gotta hit people in the face with music, man. Let's not ease into this. We're not Derek Hunter getting people home at the end of the day like you've been working hard. We got to say, let's go. Let's go. All right. Sorry. Good morning. Coming up at 7:05. I'm such a weasel. Why am I such a weasel, Julie Gunlock? Coming up at 7:05, Dr. Peter McCullough will join us talking about his new book, Vaccines, Mythology, Ideology, and Reality. And at 7:35, Nick Minnock, Channel 7, latest at the Loudoun County School Board. 8:05, the great one, Mark Levin. He's got a new book called On Power. The last book was Democrat Party Hates America, and now it's On Power. These two are compendiums, I think. It's a compendium to his last book. That's all coming up. By the way, one other detail here, a really fascinating one. New York Post reporting on this murderer in New York. We just mentioned that it appeared in his note that he was targeting the NFL. This is according to New York Post reporting. They have sources there. The murderer, I'm trying not to use his name all the time because these people don't deserve to be famous. The murderer blamed football for his apparent struggle with the neurodegenerative disease, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and it's CTE. Sorry, I don't talk medical.
We get it.
According to law enforcement officers. He says that he had CTE from his years playing football. He was never in the NFL, by the way. He was in the Canadian Football League post-high school. Went to high school at Granada Hills High School in Southern California. He fatally shot himself in the chest, I mentioned earlier, and apparently that's because he wanted to donate his brain to be studied in science. This is according to the note. It's the New York Post is reporting all of that. So I just wanted to button that up there as you hear more details about this story. Horrible.
Yes, horrible.
We have some more updates on the Russiagate story. We gave you quite a bit yesterday in terms of the developments on this and more revelations. And real fast, let's hear cut two. This was the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, saying on Maria Bartiromo's show that he had uncovered more and was referring a bunch of information to the Justice Department. Again, when agencies refer things to the Justice Department, it's for law enforcement purposes. The CIA can't bring charges against somebody, but when they refer things to the DOJ, it's because they think a crime's been committed. Here's a listen to John Ratcliffe.
So what I think I hear you saying is there is still an opportunity for indictments, potential prosecutions, accountability from those people who may have lied under oath, like John Brennan, James Comey, and perhaps Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's why I've made the referrals that I have. D&I Gabbard has made referrals, and why we're going to continue to share the intelligence that would support the ability of our Department of Justice to make bring fair and just claims against those who have perpetrated this hoax against the American people and this stain on our country.
Yeah, it is a conspiracy to defraud the American people, the United States government, and deprive Donald Trump of his civil rights. It's a criminal conspiracy. And by the way, on that criminal conspiracy front, the actions that these actors have taken, the participants in the conspiracy, fall within the 5-year window of the statute of limitations, because it appears as though they lied to the special prosecutor, Mr. Durham. If you lie under oath to Congress, or if you lie to an investigator, a U.S. attorney, in this case, Mr. Durham or his team, that's a crime. That's a crime. And so the conspiracy continues. There's also speculation that the FBI raid in Mar-a-Lago was connected to this conspiracy, because they believed that part of the files that Donald Trump contained from his 4 years in his first term included reports that are now being declassified. In other words, they didn't want Trump to have this information. They didn't want him to see this information as he was going through all of the documents.
Right. The thought process, and I've seen this all over X, is that from really great sources. I mean, people who have followed this from the very beginning and doubted
the reporters
this from
who
the
had it
very
right.
beginning. That's right. Sean Davis, Molly Hemingway, Julie Kelly, Margot Cleveland, I mean, Lee Smith, but the idea on Mar-a-Lago raid was that they were searching for stuff that would expose this conspiracy so that they could get rid of it.
All right. So, and which, by the way, that's also critically important, because if there is an investigation into criminal charges, the grand jury that's impaneled to recommend criminal charges could be impaneled in Florida instead of Washington, D.C.
Right, because we know exactly what's going to happen in Washington.
That's right. It would be delicious if the Mar-a-Lago raid actually came back to bite them by putting the jurisdiction in Florida. Now, here's the latest. That was as of yesterday. Late in the day yesterday, we had this story, and this is remarkable. You mentioned Lee Smith as one of the reporters. He brought this to my attention, in fact. Because here's what's critically important that you need to know. John Brennan knew about the Steele dossier, the fake dossier that Hillary Clinton's campaign had paid for. And by the way, a lot of the money that Hillary Clinton spent on the dossier ended up in the pockets of Russian oligarchs, ironically. So if anyone was colluding with Russians, it was Hillary Clinton to win the election. Brennan knew about the dossier and knew about the Clinton plan to frame Donald Trump. And he briefed Barack Obama about that. This is early in the summer of 2016 during the campaign. They knew at that moment that the Steele dossier was fake. But here's the thing. See, the CIA is not supposed to spy here domestically on Americans, right? We know that. I say not supposed to. And by the way, in this case, they didn't learn about this by spying domestically. They learned about it through their foreign intelligence work. In other words, foreign governments, people that the CIA were either monitoring or sharing information with or spying, they knew that Hillary Clinton was creating this dossier. It could have come from British intel because this guy's former MI6. Could have come from them spying on Russians themselves because they found out Russians were talking to somebody connected with the Clinton campaign. But foreign entities knew about the Steele dossier. The CIA knew about the Steele dossier. The White House knew about the Steele dossier. The FBI knew about the Steele dossier, but they still included it in the intelligence community assessment, even though everybody knew it was fake and it came from Hillary.
They buried the foreign intel that said that there's this dirty trick happening.
That's right. Oh, forget about buried it. Think about this for a minute. You're the CIA director. You're John Brennan. You learn about this from our foreign intelligence work. You know that foreigners know about it.
They're on to you.
You tell Obama about it. Guess who you don't tell? You don't tell the Trump campaign. You don't tell the target of this thing.
Evil. This is evil.
No one has really talked about that part.
That's right.
Where our foreign intelligence agency learned about this from foreign operators, and they never reported it to the targets of the operation.
Unbelievable.
They let it play out. But then there's this. Get this. This is reporting by Brooke Singman at Fox News. John Ratcliffe. Now this. Oh, we'll have to get to it later. I'm sorry. I get so into this story that I know. Ignore the clock. It's 5:45. All right. So picking up this story, this is what we learned yesterday. Again, on July 28th of 2016, that's in the middle of the presidential election, John Brennan briefed Barack Obama on a plan that Clinton's campaign foreign policy advisors were going to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by the Russian security service. This was after Trump had said, jokingly, as we all know, hey, Russia, if you've got our emails, go ahead and release them. They decided to take that and create this mythology that Trump was in some way working with Russia. And Brennan knew about it. Brennan knew about it as the CIA director from a foreign source, and he briefed Barack Obama about it on July 20th. We know that with specificity because we have John Brennan's handwritten notes that have been declassified and released. All right. In fact, we knew about that back in 2020 when it was first reported by Fox News Digital. All right. So we know that. But here's what we're now learning. And John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, is expected to declassify all this underlying intel, including a classified annex that was used in the Special Prosecutor Durham's report. So whenever people say, in the media, oh, all of this is old, it's old. Well, yeah, it's from 2020, but it's been classified up until now.
That's right.
So, yes, the report is old, but because it's now been declassified, it is news. It is literally news. That's like saying if you found a smoking gun document from the JFK files that, that Lee Harvey Oswald had nothing to do with it and it was really a CIA agent on the grassy knoll. What is the media going to say? Oh, well, that's old. That document's from 50 years ago.
Who was in charge?
Yeah.
Who was in charge of all of this information just a little bit ago? It wasn't Trump.
Right. So this document that is these documents that will be released by the CIA or declassified, I should say, not only point out that foreign entities knew that Hillary Clinton had created the Steele dossier and they were setting Donald Trump up with a fake story about Russian collusion. But these foreign actors, we don't know what country, we don't know who they are, we just know that CIA learned it from them. These foreign entities predicted alarmingly accurately that the FBI was going to take that fake information and begin an investigation into Donald Trump.
Just astonishing.
That is stunning. And by the way, my hunch, now everything I've told you up until now is news, okay? Brennan, Comey, Clapper, they all knew that this was just a campaign dirty trick. And they knew that or at least Brennan knew that the prediction by our foreign partner, well, actually, I shouldn't even say partner, whatever foreign entity he learned this from, predicted that the FBI would take Hillary Clinton's dossier and turn it into a full-blown investigation into Donald Trump. And we knew that in July. And they knew it and they predicted it. That's all fact. Here's the speculation on my behalf. That foreign entity knew that because that's what the Hillary Clinton campaign planned all along. There were people within the campaign that were connected, second and third person through a chain. And we're talking about people like Jake Sullivan and Anthony Blinken and all these people. They were connected to people who were actively working at the DOJ, from Glenn Simpson to, all these other people with Fusion GPS. They all, had this revolving door of influence in the DOJ. My suspicion, because how do you think the FBI got the Steele dossier in the first place? They were shopping it around to media outlets, and media outlets said, yeah, that's garbage. Think about this for a minute. The media knew that the Steele dossier was garbage. They rejected it. Their first plan was to go to reporters, friendly reporters, Michael Isikoff, David Korn at Mother Jones. That was the first plan from Hillary, and the media said, no, that's garbage. We're not going to run with it. Then they pivoted, and they gave it to the FBI, and the FBI said, oh, yeah, looks real to me. Let's open up an investigation.
And just remember, Lisa Page, we're not going to let him become president, right? And
right.
Peter Strzok. No,
Nope.
We're going to stop it. We'll stop it.
Remember, Andy said we have an insurance policy. Andy would be Andrew McCabe, the deputy director of the FBI. So reporters knew that the Steele dossier was garbage. The FBI went ahead and took it and started an investigation. And then, after Trump won, when the Russian collusion narrative had to be the answer, the excuse, the explanation as to how he won, Obama directed Brennan and Clapper and Comey to utilize that Steele dossier that they all knew was garbage back in July to create that narrative. And before you know it, the majority of the American people thought that Donald Trump was an illegitimate president. This is a conspiracy to defraud the American people. It's a conspiracy to prevent Donald Trump from exercising his civil rights to take office unencumbered and to carry out the duties of the office the American people elected him to do. And by the way, subsequently, we have a conspiracy to commit perjury. Those are the crimes. Wow. When everyone says nothing new here and there's no crime, I've just told you what's new and what the crimes are. Watch that story. We'll continue to as well. It's 5:54.